Hello everybody, and welcome to Yoshi 1 Kenobi's Top 10 list from the cards from Strixhaven. Now, right now I'm going to be putting on my competitive hat for a moment. Oops, I meant competitive hat, not competitive cat. Well, basically, I'm really excited to play with some of the madness and some of the janky cards of the format, but for now, let's look at the competitive value of the cards and see which ones are the 10 most powerful cards from the set, and see how they're going to be impacting Standard. So without further ado, let's start with the list. Starting at the bottom of the best, we have Rushed Rebirth. Now, Rushed Rebirth seems like a Malakir's Rebirth for 2 mana and a cooler effect at first glance. But let's read the card carefully. Choose target creature. Anybody's target creature. When that creature dies this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser mana value, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So this allows you to target any creature on the battlefield, yours or your opponent's. And once that creature dies, whether it's through combat, through an opponent's kill spell, or through one of your own kill spell, then you get to bring out a creature from your library with a lesser mana value and put it on the battlefield. Why do I think that this is so powerful? Well, first of all, you can use it to kill off your opponent's creature. So, Rush Rebirth, target your opponent's Vorinclex, use a kill spell on Vorinclex, summon a 5-drop from your library. The tables have turned, dear opponent. You can also cast it on your own creatures to actually get some value when they die, but maybe like in a sacrifice shell, but that's going to happen a little less often. Now, why is this good? Well, this allows two things that are difficult. First off, it allows you to tutor a creature from your deck, and that has been proven to be very powerful in a lot of formats. You get to assemble combo pieces, you get to fetch that creature that you need at the right time, you get to build toolbox type decks around Rushed Rebirth, and this is very powerful. The second part that's very powerful is that it allows you to summon a creature from your library at instant speed. One of the latest cards that was able to do that, Collected Company, well, guess what? It's an all-star in Historic. No, I'm not comparing Rushed Rebirth with Collected Company in terms of power level. I know Rushed Rebirth is weaker, but still, it does a lot of things that have proven to be powerful in the past. It has many valuable targets, it's flexible. Really, that's the key name of that card, should be called Flexible Rebirth. And that's why I think it deserves the number 10 spot in the top 10 list for Strixhaven. At the number 9 spot on our list, we have a common card from Strixhaven, the Bayou Groff. Now this is a 5/4 for 2, which does come with the heavy downside that you have to sacrifice a creature to cast the spell, or pay 3. Now we're not casting this for 5 mana, most of the time. Most of the time we're going Archfiend's Vessel on turn 1, Bayou Groff on turn 2, sack the Archfiend's Vessel, goes to the graveyard, which is where we want it anyways, and suddenly we have a pseudo Lovestruck Beast for 1 turn early. And we've seen just how devastating Lovestruck Beast has been in Standard. Bayou Groff comes out 1 turn earlier. Now suppose your opponent has a removal spell for the Bayou Groff, then you've just lost 2 creatures. Well, that's when you play Call of the Dead Dwellers, where you revive your Bayou Groff, and because it's not cast, you don't have the downside, so you're getting a 5/4 for 2, and you still have 1 mana spot to revive your Archfiend's Vessel from the graveyard. So on turn 3, you end up with your 5/4 getting revived, as well as a 5/5 Flying Demon. Seems like a good deal to me. And then the deck will also play Lovestruck Beast, so you get to play the Bell from Lovestruck Beast, sack it, play the Bayou on turn 2, play Lovestruck Beast on turn 3, play a 1/1 on turn 4, swing for 10, and it's just a lot of raw power. Also, this fits well in those sacrifice decks, where you're just getting a big beater that helps with your sacrifice plan. Claim the Firstborn, Bayou Groff. How much value is that? 3 mana, 2 cards, kill a creature, get a 5/4. Seems pretty powerful to me. And that's why I think this is the common that deserves the spot in our top 10. And it deserves the number 9 spot. And I might not even be generous enough. At number 8 on our list, we have an odd card to put on the top 10 list. And that is Quintorius, the Field Historian. Now this is a 2/4 for 5 yucky stats. It's a legendary elephant cleric. That's pretty fun. It gives spirits you control +1/+0, which we don't really care about. But whenever one or more card leaves your graveyard, you create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Now this seems like a fair uncommon to play, and then if it lives, you get to do some shenanigans next turn. The reason why it's on my list is because of the synergy with Titan's Nest. If you have a Titan's Nest in play on turn 4 and you play Quintorius on turn 5, you can turn every single card in your graveyard into a 3/2 spirit, which should be game ending if you have a graveyard of 8 or plus cards. And you get to activate that effect at instant speed, so even if the opponent tries to cast a kill spell to kill Quintorius, you get to activate your Titan's Nest, bring in a board full of spirits, and then simply kill your opponent off on the next turn. And because this is a 2-card combo where the 2 cards are individually fairly decent, while Titan's Nest pretty strong, Quintorius can have some other synergy, in particular with the Underworld Breach card, where you get to cast stuff from your graveyard, and every time you cast something from your graveyard, you exile 2 cards, then you cast the card, you're getting spirits, and you get to redo it again. There's just a lot of very powerful combos with this card that will end up being game ending. And because of that, it deserves the number 8 spot on our top 10s list. At number 7 on our list, we have Humiliate. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Right there. It's good enough to be played in Standard. It's been played before. Right now we have a version that exiles, but where you have to pay 1 life. And that 1 life is a bit of a cost when you're playing this type of effect. As in here, the cost is the extra white mana instead of colorless in the cost. But what you get in exchange is to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. And with all the +1/+1 counter synergies that we have in Standard right now, this is actually kind of a big deal. It allows you to bolster your defense while you're picking out the best card from your opponent's hand, or just bolster your attack, depending on in which type of deck you're playing this. And because of that, I think it's going to see a lot of play in Standard, and it's going to do great. And number 6, we have the Conspiracy Theorist. Now this is a 2/2 for 2 human shaman creature, and whenever it attacks you may pay 1 to discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Alright, right there it's already a fairly decent card. And whenever you discard 1 or more non-land cards, you may exile 1 of them from your graveyard, and if you do, you may cast it this turn. So just by itself, it's a 2/2 for 2 that gets to attack, and you get to pay 1 mana to discard something that you were gonna play, and you get to play it this turn. So you basically get to pay 1 to draw a card. That's already very strong. When it gets stronger is that the discard ability, whenever you discard 1 or more non-land cards you may play this turn, does not apply only to Conspiracy Theorist's ability. It applies to everything that makes you discard. Say, cycling. Yes, I said it. This card slots perfectly in cycling. It allows you to cycle your cards and play them, and they still end up in your graveyard for your Big Bang Solar Flare to end the game. So cycling just got a new friend, and it's pretty mad and getting ready to Solar Flare. As you can see, the lights showing off in the background of the card. So yeah, this card is going to be deadly. Prepare to be hit by it in the future near you. At number 5 on our list, we have a Planeswalker that's on the face of the set. And I'm not talking about Professor Onyx. I'm talking about Camina, the Enigma Sage. Now this is a 3-mana Planeswalker in green-blue colors. Oko! That's not nearly as strong as Oko. But it has a +2 that allows you to scry 1. It has a -X that's typically going to be -1 to create a 1/1 creature. but you can create bigger creatures if you're willing to sacrifice more loyalty. And a -8 that allows you to search your library for an instant or sorcery that shares a color with this planeswalker, and you get to play it for free. So what does this do? Well, it's a 3-mana planeswalker that ticks up by 2 every turn, so it essentially enters the battlefield with 4. It can defend itself by playing little blue fractal creatures on the battlefield, with +1/+1 counters on them, which go with +1/+1 counter synergies on top of that. And then for -8, you get to cast, say, Emergent Ultimatum, or something like that, to just close out the game. So turn 1, it's on 4. Turn 2, it's on 6. Turn 3, it's on 8. Turn 4 is good game. So the opponent must attack Camina, and she ticks up by 2 every turn. She can put creature in front of her to defend herself. This is going to be a powerful planeswalker that's going to be included in Sultai Ultimatum pretty much right off the bat. So look forward to it, I guess, depending on what type of deck you're going to play. At the number 4 spot on our list, we have a card that will rip you apart, and that is Rip Apart. So it's a Boros removal spell for 2 mana, where you get to pick one. Either deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target artifact, or destroy target enchantment. That might as well be a charm for all the modes that are available on this. And it makes the card really versatile and really powerful. It's actually more versatile than a Braid, which ceased play in Historic right now, and is just a very solid piece of removal. So why is this not at the top of the list? And there's only one reason for that, and it's that Rip Apart is a sorcery, which means you need to spend the mana during your own turn. You can't keep the mana up and remove whatever your opponent plays on the board. And the sorcery speed actually reduces a lot of the value of the card, but because it hits so many targets, so strong, destroys Great Hands, destroys Embercleave, destroys creature, hits planeswalkers in control matchups, it deserves the number 4 spot, and will be pretty much an auto-include in all your Boros decks until it rotates out. And now we've reached the final 3. And the bronze medalist for Strixhaven, for Yoshi 1 Kenobi's top 10 list, is, drumroll, Galareth Prismari. This beautifully artworked 3/4 flyer for 4 mana is actually, good base stats to begin with. And when it enters the battlefield, you create a treasure token, which means it really only costed you 3 to cast it. And we know how well discounts go in this game. And then there's a bonus effect, which is artifacts you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this to cast only instant and sorcery spells. That means that the treasure you've just created acts as land as long as Prismari is on the battlefield. All the treasures that you have in play act as lands as long as you're casting them for instants and sorceries. All of the other artifacts that you've put in play because you've built your deck around this act as lands, which can increase your mana significantly. So it can even have a mana doubling effect like Wilderness's Reclamation that allows you to cast a bunch of instants and sorceries, counter spells to protect Prismari. And we already have Big Brother Goldspan Dragon in the set. That's a dragon that improves the use of treasures and creates treasures. So Galareth Prismari goes really well with Goldspan Dragon. And they both go in a red-blue, I use counter spells to defend myself because I've just generated mana by entering the battlefield or attacking type of effect. And that is going to make Galareth Prismari really strong in Standard and give that Izzet Dragon's counterspell deck the extra boost that it needs to reach that high-level competitiveness. In the second spot on our list, the runner-up is Decisive Denial. Now this is a Simic card with 2 modes. The first one is target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Basically a removal spell. The second mode is counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. Almost a negate. So it's a negate that can be a removal spell. It's a very flexible card that works in both the aggro matchups or the control matchups, or the mid-range matchups where you just need to keep all options open. You can think of it as a Drown in the Loch that's not quite as powerful because you do need a creature in play, and it only negates unless the opponent pays 3. But it can be played outside of rows, can be played in any deck that plays green and blue. And because it's just so versatile in what it does, as long as you're playing creatures and you're playing green and blue, you will want to be playing some number of decisive denials. And you will be decisively denying your opponent's spells at the right time, and you will be looking like that mage, and the opponent will be looking like the soldier that just got slammed in the face by the hand of the 10-year-old. And yeah, decisive denial is a real thing, and you will see plenty of it soon. And now you must be asking yourself, what can actually top these cards that we've just been previewing? Well, the answer is Vanishing Verse. Vanishing Verse is a white and black instant, good so far, that states exile target monocolored permanent. Now we've seen destroy target monocolored creature as a 2-mana instant seaplane standard past. And this is just that much stronger. It exiles target monocolored permanent. Exiling is much better than destroying. No Anax token are going to survive a Vanishing Verse. But the fact that it targets permanents makes it that much stronger. Let me name you a few permanents that you may or may not want to target with your Vanishing Verse. Maybe you want to target a Great Henge, because that thing's annoying to remove. Not anymore, you just Vanishing Verse it into oblivion. This card also targets good old Embercleave. Opponent makes an attack, you make your block, opponent Embercleaves, and you exile the Embercleave, making their attack look stupid, and their Embercleave meaningless, and removed from the game forever. Isn't that the dream? And so, you'll be seeing plenty of Vanishing Verse in Standard, exiling monocolored stuff all over the place. And if people aren't playing monocolored stuff, then it's simply because they're respecting the power of Vanishing Verse, and it's going to have a Teferi Time Raveler effect on the format, where people avoid playing the stuff that's bad against it, because everybody's playing Vanishing Verse. And that's why I think it deserves #1 spot. Deals with Embercleave, deals with Great Henge, deals with monocolored creatures, foreign Klex. Almost every deck plays something that's monocolored, and some of their most troublesome permanents are. And so, expect Vanishing Verse in a universe near you in the near future when Strixhaven hits home. I hope that you've enjoyed my top 10 list and had fun. Please write in the comments what cards do you think are going to break down the format? Which cards did I miss? Which cards should have been on list? Which cards shouldn't be on list? Well, you know, tons of comment. And don't forget to subscribe to see all of the janky videos that will be coming up with Strixhaven the second it hits. Well, a few hours later. I do need to play the games to record them, edit the videos, you know, that type of stuff. But don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you right back with other videos. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking the Yoshi icon at the right of your screen. It doesn't cost you any mana, and it greatly helps to support this channel and keep the awesome videos coming.